Hello everyone, it's a lovely Sunday morning in Sydney, Australia. I'm about to have my morning coffee, catch up on the emails, and read some of the comments that you're sending to me in response to my videos. And it crossed my mind that while I have invited you to share your car ownership stories as part of the kind of entering our giveaway, Christmas giveaway, even for those of you who are outside of the country, I'd like to make it clearer and say to you that even if I cannot post the prizes internationally to you in case you win something, I still welcome your stories. Still do share your car ownership stories because I really enjoy reading some of your comments. And now I'm going to experiment and read out some of them to you. There are lots of very good comments, and I have selected 5 today that are going to be in response to the video that I published where I have expressed regret for buying and selling too many cars over the past 2 to 3 years. Most of them were Chinese. Well, they were all Chinese, but this is not just a Chinese car sentiment. It's just about getting the wrong car for you and exchanging them too often. There is depreciation at play. There are other things that I have regretted and I lost money. So a lot of you have responded. And I will just very quickly acknowledge the generic comment. There are a lot of versions of this comment. And it just basically more or less sounds like this. If you're buying and selling cars, especially high depreciating Chinese vehicles, every 6 to 12 months, you are going to lose a lot of money. If people do not realize this, they cannot be helped. Thank you very much for stating the obvious. I'd like to acknowledge this. I, of course, understand this, but there is a lot more to this picture and some of you may have missed it. So I think we are going to revisit and give the light of day to these wonderful comments that a lot of you have sent to me. Make yourselves comfortable, make yourself a coffee if you haven't already, and let's read the first comment selected from Mr. X. Hello, Mr. X. Thank you for your comment. Well, depreciation is always there. Don't expect to make money from buying and reselling new cars. I never suggested that I was thinking I was going to make money from it. You pay from your pocket for having a brand new car. As soon as you drive out of a showroom, you lose 10 to 15%. It's a known fact. I am also pretty sure that you will lose enough money when you will try and sell your new Outback in 1 year, for instance. Probably. By the way, I own Haval H6 and recently drove the newest Subaru Crosstrek for a few days and was not impressed by Subaru at all. Old tech, terrible interior, outdated infotainment system, and very underpowered 2-liter engine. I also found that Crosstrek's safety systems are even more annoying than my H6's. After H6, it was obvious downgrade, and still I don't understand why people buy it. Maybe only because it's Subarus and they are all-wheel drive. However, H6 is an ideal car for my family in terms of size and practicality. If you wanted to be more cost efficient, then you would probably need to buy used 2 to 3 year old cars. Okay? Makes sense. I'm very happy for Mr. X that he found the car that's right for him, and I think that was my main point that I was trying to make throughout all of the previous videos as well. So as long as it's the best car for you, you're planning to keep it, you don't care about depreciation, Bob's your uncle, especially because Great Wall Motor cars such as Haval H6 specifically, have very, very good reputation on the territory of China. They know how to make cars, okay? Now, second comment selected today is from Nick Reed. Nick Reed writes, I agree. Find the right car and keep it. I bought a 6-year-old Mazda MX-5 in 2009. It still had the brand new car smell and it cost a third of its new purchase price, I bet. 15 years later, I'm still driving it. Okay, it's now done 353,000 kilometers. 353,000 kilometers. But it's still going strong and I love it. And the depreciation has been negligible. My previous car was an MGB, I don't know what that is, which I drove for 19 years. Wow, that's patience, mate. Before that, an Austin Healey Sprite, which I drove for 12 years. Nice. And also sold because I've moved countries. I hate to say it, but you probably should have kept the Jeep, though they are horribly unreliable. The MGB spent many years under the Toplin, but will soon be back on the road. I also regret selling my Jeep, as I said on many occasions, and don't want to rant on about it because it's definitely a very lovely, ranty, in a good mood kind of weather. But man, everyone tells how unreliable Jeeps are. Mine had no issues for 3 years of ownership, but neither have I pushed it through the paces. Fair enough, I was driving in the city. Now, comment number 3 and story number 3 is from WhatsApp Doc to give you all a little bit of an opposite perspective. WhatsApp Doc is disagreeing with me and is anti-Chinese car, as you will find out shortly. However, this is an example of me not suppressing an opposite opinion as long as it's presented respectfully enough, the person just talks from the heart, from their own experience, rather than just bashes it for the bashing's sake. So that's fine. Here goes. I am sorry, not sorry to anyone owning a Chinese MG. Strong entry. What's up, doc? These cars are horrible, horrible to be in, horrible to drive, gutless, wonders, worst suspension. Probably one of the most horrible phrases that I've read in a long time without laughing. We hired one in WA, and I regretted it for the 10 days we were there. Avoid, avoid, avoid. Cheap and nasty. At least that's my experience with it. It was a compact SUV for two of us. We drove it to Perth, to Albany, Albany to Esperance, Esperance to Perth, and got a good feel for it. Yeah, I think that's a fair enough distance to have a good feel for it. Maybe your one is good for you, and maybe I rented a dud. Who knows? Well, now you're getting somewhere there, my friend. But from my experience with many other cars that we hired over 20 or more so years, this one was horrible, so no thank you. I think we are misunderstanding here each other. People may think, and What's Up Doc is a good example that I'd like to put here onto a pedestal of example. Do you think I'm trying to sell you these cars or something? Because I'm not offering it to you. You got it because it was the cheapest one to rent, probably What's Up Doc, so you can only blame yourself here. I'm not selling anyone anything. It's just my experience, okay, mate? Thank you for sharing yours, by the way. I'm okay with that too. It's irrelevant to disclose what car I have, but I can assure that you that in terms of comfort, functionality, materials, and how it's put together, it drives and handles, especially on the road. My one, a dream. It chews up kilometers and you don't even notice. Okay, first of all, mate, you seem like a older, educated, well-traveled person. So maybe invest into punctuation in your sentences. It would be much easier to read for people, as well as in this particular case you called it. First of all, you're completely wrong about the fact that disclosing what you drive is irrelevant. I think it's very relevant to me and to anyone else who now listens to this. If you drive a Mercedes and spoil yourself with an AMG level of leather, natural leather comfort, and you paid how many times more for this car? 6 times more than MG costs? And then you got a beaten up rental MG and you're trying to compare apples to apples here? Mate, this is laughable. This is laughable. I'm not laughing out of respect because I appreciate your comment. That's why it saw the light of day. But this is a good example for everyone else where I think some people are they just decided that they are either too high on a horse to understand that they got onto a donkey. And that donkey doesn't run as fast as a horse, and yet they still criticize the poor donkey for being a donkey. Are you with me? Okay, have a drink if you are. Now, another lovely comment from the person called Green Chutney Man. He gets the prize today for the lovely name. It's a great user ID tag. I recently sold my MG ZST top spec car for $24,000 with 7,100 kilometers on the clock. Bought it brand new for $33,990 in February 2023. I just found too many things that annoyed the hell out of me. So Green Chutney Man understands me. He lost quite a bit of money. So here is what annoys him. Numbered things. Number one, can't turn off the radio. Before we move on, I think that's a bit too brief, and he conveniently forgets here to say that yes, you can turn off the radio, except it turns itself on every single time, so you need to mute it every single time, okay? Number two, paper-thin sunroof. Yes, I agree. Number three, garbage vinyl seats when in the sun. I disagree that they're garbage. I think they're great quality. Ours lasted for 3 years with no wear and tear, with no nothing, which by default makes them not garbage. But yes, they heat up. They're hot. What can you say? Number four, really crappy infotainment system. Well, clearly, the Green Chutney Man has never driven something like LDV D90 2022 model, which has a properly crappy infotainment system. So he thinks that MG's one is crappy. It's bad, but it's not that crappy. Premium fuel and fuel tank gets about 400 kilometers range. I agree, that's unacceptable. Infotainment system randomly rebooted while driving a few times. Okay. No rear seat vents. I don't care, I don't have passengers at the back. No rear middle seat cup holders. That's just being nitpicky, who cares? MG dropped the price for the manufacturing year 23 ZST top spec by $4,000, so it doesn't retain much value. That's indicative. I agree with you. It's not a good sign. What's there to say? I agree with you. The 1.3 turbo petrol engine has some weird turbo lag. I don't know, subjective. If it does, not good. Depreciation. Chinese cars just don't hold their value. Again, let's get off our high horses. No new cars retain their value. Range Rover loses most of its value in the first couple of years. Chinese cars do the same. And there are Chinese cars and there are Chinese cars. We speak about this all the time here. Next point is that Chinese car makers are currently selling their cars below the recommended retail price. The MG ZST EV, which was $49,990, is currently on sale for $34,990. That's a massive drop. If that's truly the case, I have not fact-checked this. You are welcome to do that. I think that definitely this doesn't send the right message, and I think this is a massive drop. It doesn't project the sense that this car is an investment value. But who would invest into a car anyway? We're just trying to get stuff as cheap as we can, right? Now, number 13, tiny cup holders. I didn't notice. I think they're okay for a normal kind of small drinking bottle. Big ones won't fit there, sure, but it's not a massive car either. Apple CarPlay doesn't stay connected long enough with official Apple cable. Any cable-based connectivity in these cars is not great. I don't know if it's in the cable, I don't know if it's in the USB where it gets plugged in, and I don't know if it's in the software, which is why I'm very happily and very proudly sponsored by a lot of companies that are sending me a variety of automotive electronics connectivity things, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay things, giving you discounts in the comments below, not in the comments, in the description of the video. Expand, have a look. If you're still using a cable-based thing, I don't think you're showing enough self-respect. Okay, and finally, if you are on call, you can't turn the AC on, so controls disappear. That's a bad design, I agree. Never will I buy Chinese cars again. I ordered a Toyota RAV4. Oh, you can't lose with RAV4, except it's boring as hell. I know it's more expensive, it's also expensive, but at least I know that I'm getting and what I'm getting, and it will hold value. Yes, that for sure. Who would argue with that? I don't plan to sell my car for at least 5 years, but something compelled me to sell the MG. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. As long as you're getting the right car for you. And the final comment for today is from my good old friend Darren. Don't beat yourself up, Dimitri. Thanks, mate. You've had a fun, relatively painless ride. I don't want to go all Chinese uncle on you, but I said at the time that finance is the devil. Had you stopped at the Haval, you would have been fine, which is true. Sure, the Subi is a better car, but this Haval is not a bad bus. As an absolute contrarian, I have never understood the need to keep up with the Joneses, and that it's all the kind of car leasing promotes. Novated lease is just a way of making you buy something that you don't need. I too have had a Jeep experience. Some of my fondest automotive memories are driving that crap box through the desert sand on jobs 500 kilometers northeast of Alice Springs. That's center of Australia, in case you don't picture Australia. It's pretty harsh conditions. Was it a good car? Hell no. But I remember it fondly. Many cars between now and then. I too have sold a Nissan Leaf and Ford Transit for more than I paid for it over COVID. I did it because I wanted that ridiculous experience once in my life. I know and knew that it could never happen again. If cars are a hobby, then expect it to be painfully expensive. If cars are a way of just getting around, then drive that Subaru into the ground and don't care when the neighbor gets a new car and yours is 8 years old. And that's it for today. We fit into a little bit over 10 minutes. If you're still listening to me, you're very special to me. Thank you. There are more stories, more comments like this where this came from. In response to a lot of my videos, people share their experiences. I really love it. And if you love it too, if you want to hear other people's experiences other than just me constantly talking at you like this about my own experiences or translating stuff, then please let me know in the comments down below, because I think this is a healthy, different content injection into the stream of my other videos. I'm not saying that others will stop, but this will just be healthier. Yeah, and change is healthy, I think. And yeah, like this video so that YouTube shows it to more people. I welcome continued flow of your own experiences now that you know that they're welcome. If you would ever like your story to be published, you could always call out for that, and of course I reserve the judgment to myself if I think that it's interesting, original enough. But at the same time, I very much welcome input from my community going into 2025. If you haven't yet joined our Christmas giveaway, prizes are only for Australia, but the entry is for anyone in the world, as long as you don't care about the prizes, because I don't post internationally. But submit your stories. That's the entry into our Christmas giveaway. Check out that video, and I'll talk to you next week about something else, value cars related in Australia and anywhere else in the world if you would like to share your story. Goodbye for now. Thanks for joining.